Happy New Year, Warrior. We have an incredible, incredible next 30 minutes or so to speak with you. I want to welcome our guest today to the Warriors. I want to remind everybody it may be a holiday, but we at the Warriors and at Lionel Nation never take a holiday.
Never. Can you hear me?
Now,
Oh.
I want to I want to do a 5x5 because this is giving me a little bit of playback on this end.
Can everyone hear me? You sound fantastic, by the way.
Oh, because this is repeating everything I say after I say
You know what? Do me a favor. At the top of your keyboard, turn off the microphone. See the little microphone there? So you don't hear it this way, or the speaker, I should say, the little speaker. Click that off. Can you, and then speak?
Now, how is that? Can you hear me?
You sound fine. You should be able to not hear your echo.
Okay, but now I'm not hearing you.
Oh, okay. Well, then bring it up and maybe lower, perhaps.
Technology, everybody. Happy New Year, technology. How's that?
You sound fantastic.
Yes, but it's repeating everything I say. Do you want me just to go on like that? Because it is repeating. I don't know if everybody can hear
me.
Let
me get up. Let me get up.
Okay. Bear with us, everybody. We are doing this practically sitting next to each other, and sometimes there's a little reverberation, as we say, something like that. So we apologize for this.
Oh, I know what that is. I know. Hello.
My technical producer.
This is what the problem is. Right there. There. No. Let me see. This should be better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to stick with that.
Okay, no.
Yep. Still doing it.
You know why? There's another mic we got to look for.
Why don't you shut down those other YouTube?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I think this one here. There we go. That's it. That was it.
Okay, now are you sure? I'm going to try this again. Thank you, Warriors, for bearing with us. Let us get back on track. So today's incredible guest is Lionel from Lionel Nation. You can hear him. He is a media and legal analyst. You can hear him daily on YouTube at Lionel Nation, also on X at Lionel Media. And I must say, he really is my better half, my delightful husband that I adore.
By the way, you know what? That's a very interesting thing. Can you hear me now? Okay.
I can hear you great, but I'm giving you a nice introduction. What
no.
What are you doing?
But I'm saying, isn't that just like life? We have so many different windows open at the same time, different things. It's you have to shut things down. You have to shut. By the way, Sandy Sivits, look at there's a new member. I'm sorry, it's your show. I'm taking over. I don't mean to do
but I want to give you credit where credit's due. Actually, and I love that photo behind you. I just always love that a fan did for you at one point. But I just want to say
that's Walter Brogan from Cracked magazine, by the way. That's a personalized. I've had that for 30 years.
Yes, how appropriate, Cracked magazine. But
Indeed.
I must say that that was a great analogy. LionelMedia.com is the website, everyone. About closing windows. It is January 1st, 2025. It is time to close down certain things, open up new things, and get rock and rolling, as we like to say at the Warriors. I want to start with Lionel. I like that idea. We must remain vigilant. I've been saying this for the last, I think since November 5th or 6th, I'll say. We cannot let our guard down 24/7, 365. The next 4 years, for me, I am saying are most important for our country. And we must remain vigilant and look over our shoulders at all times. We can we have to keep America and make America again. I know that is credited to James Woods, but I like that. Not make America great again, Make America America. Let's keep it again like that. So I want to start with on this January 1st, New Year's Day. What's top of your mind as a legal and media analyst? Let's start there.
Well, a couple of things. This is more political, if I could throw this in. I wish we'd give President Trump a break. Everybody's immediately jumping on Elon Musk, H-1Bs. He shouldn't be there. Um, he's a traitor. He's a sellout. You've got people like Steve. This is me now, Steve Bannon and Laura Loomer, who I respect for what they've done. But would you just give this man a chance? Can we just wait to see if Elon Musk actually can help? He, in many respects, delivered the election by making Donald Trump cool again. And so did others as well, Joe Rogan. So can we just give him a chance? And then later on, we'll see what happens, as opposed to a lot of these naysayers. One thing I would say about the Democrats, and I know yours is more, not necessarily this heavily political, but I think it's critical because everything is politics. The Democrats never, ever, ever turn against themselves. AOC never talks about Pelosi. Pelosi never talks about AOC. They never do. We had Marjorie Taylor Greene with McCarthy. You had Matt Gaetz. You had this one doesn't like this one. You have Boebert doesn't like this. You got to stop that. You've got to stop that.
Yeah.
And if you have some kind of a beef, take it outside. Not, I think stop this contumacy, dare I say.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I also want to say, all of the work we do at the Warriors, we always stress that does not belong to a political party, right? It's bipartisan. Human rights abuses belongs to no political party. But how can you not say it's actually political and we'll get to that, with the situation we've had. I mean, the crisis, the horror on the
How can you say
borders.
That it is political or not political?
No, I have to say, I always say the work we do at the Warriors doesn't belong to a political party. But really what we have witnessed over the last several years from the Biden-Harris administration, I think we have to address. It has been a bit political. But before we get into that, I want to thank Sandy Sivitz for becoming a new member of Lynn's Warriors. And that's a shout out to Sandy and for all of you. Come on now, support us. Make sure you're subscribed to the Warriors channel. Yeah.
Doesn't Sandy Sivitz look like an actress? That's a great. It looks like a Hollywood actress, like a famous actress. I don't know why. At least the thumbnail, because I can see the.
If that's the real image, right? Sometimes people don't use real images, but I want to welcome. We've got Pete here. We've got Tammy. We've got a lot of people. We've got Edie Crowley. Welcome, Edie. Oh. Good to see you. Happy New Year. Now, let's get into a couple of things here. January.
Before I forget, if this is not politics, I have been with you and you have gone on your own, meeting with your colleagues in Washington. And when you go to the Capitol, are you met with open arms by the Democrats? No. Even our constituents, Jerry Nadler and others. So if it's not politics, the only people who listen to you have been the Republicans and President Trump. So if this isn't politics, then somebody tell the Democrats that.
Well, I've also been met. I'm going to just throw this out there as well. I've also been met, most of the help, most of the listening, most of the work coming out has really been by Republicans. Now, remember, I always call myself an American. I really do. That's my party. I'm an American. I have been met blank stares by a lot of people in Washington, or I've been met with, oh, you're right. And then there's no follow-up. Because, I don't subscribe. We are the Warriors. We are independent, right? We don't take government monies and grants and all that stuff. And we do private donations and we're based on facts and truth. So I have a little bit of leverage there. And that's the way I want to run the Warriors, because a lot of people have said to me, well, why aren't you putting in for this and that? Because I have watched other groups, organizations, nonprofits, good people working who have taken government monies for their organizations and they really toe the line. They only go so far and they never cross it. We need January 1, 2025, we have a new administration. We've been through horror. We need new visions. We need new ways. Nothing has worked. everything we thought in 2024, throw it out the window. Let us start afresh. I'd love to hear ideas from people. We need community engagement. I mean, after all, our hashtag is community creates change. We need the boots on the ground appropriately. It is a new country, a new world, and I want everybody. I don't care what happened on November 6th. Thank goodness. This is not going to be easy. This is not going to be a party. We have to work every single day. For instance, January is known as National Human Trafficking Prevention Month. I just want to point out to everyone, every day, every hour, every moment needs to be, with the crisis we have going on, human trafficking awareness, everything. Because this is so out of control. And despite it being talked about more and more people understanding what's going on, I'm talking about America now, not around the world, right? We know it's a global crisis. Talking in our own backyards, this is where we all have to focus right now. Is that we cannot allow this. It's not being discussed enough. And if it is discussed, we already know how horrible and bad it all is. The border, our American kids with what's happening to them online being exploited. We need solutions, right? We need intervention. We need education. We can't keep talking about how bad it is. That is one of the goals of the Warriors. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I got to tell you, I don't even know where to start, which is true. I am shocked, I think, as you, that no more people would not have jumped on board in protecting children. That still kills me. I can't believe it. If it was climate change, if it was pets, they'd be all over this thing. Why don't you think people either they don't understand, or as some people have said to you, and I've heard them, oh, that's icky. Weren't you surprised when you thought children?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can say trafficking by virtue of algorithms here, but exploitation, predation. Aren't you shocked that more people didn't run up and say, where do we sign up? It's like pulling eye teeth, so to speak. Why?
Yeah. Well, I thought that's the big question. And I thought everybody would automatically collaborate, come on board, say, oh my goodness, let me learn more. How are we going to stop this? Our precious children, our future adults, our future leaders in America. We do know, and I admit, it is a horrendous subject. It is dark. It is ugly. However, that is the reality in 2025. And everybody, by virtue of devices today, children 9 to 17 have access to 4 in the latest study, Chromebooks, phones, gaming consoles, all this stuff, 4 devices in their household. So we have to understand this is part of our lives right now. And I was talking yesterday in a video I did. Our initiative, we have always launched the Warriors. Our goal, our mission is education, prevention, intervention, and always supporting survivors. We cannot forget about them. But I think we have to start, Lionel, I think you'll agree with me, when parents are expecting a baby, when a baby is born, with age-appropriate education. It used to be you started, in high school, then it became middle school, right? But no, we have to start right away before a child's even born, educating parents, giving them tools, free tools, as many free tools as we can, because people are burdened. But people always want to deal with this subject matter when it happens to them directly, and that's too late. And also, I'm very, very tired of people getting, how should I say this? Lots of attention, lots of traction, even from mainstream media, which I really don't watch. I watch foreign media. I get better coverage and stories on America from other places
Oh yeah.
than our own media here. But that's true. But I also am tired of people, throwing out like these words that'll shock people. We know low hanging fruit gets
Like what?
numbers and all that.
What are you talking about?
And people who don't really different sites I see, different people talking about. It's kind of become I don't know how to, kind of the cool subject. Let's jump on board. For instance, I received something last night, a Happy New Year message from somebody who said we've intervened and saved 1,000 children, and I'm just going to say I know it not to be true. What are you doing? But of course, the bottom line was, when I scrolled down, your year-end donation. We need to get this donate. And so I take great offense that, like anything else, right, taken advantage of. Where is that true work of intervention? Because what do I hear from law enforcement? We don't have the manpower, woman power. What do I hear? We don't have the resources. We don't have the technology yet. I know from dealing with tech people, there is technology to help us to counter, because right now, big tech, and I like to call it big tech BS. And there's a wonderful component. We're talking right now, we're talking around the world, but they're ruling the roost with everything online with our kids. And we know these dangerous algorithms direct it. We have the studies, we've had Congress, and we've had the hearings, we've had the parents crying, looking for some sort of something. So let us talk about, perhaps in 2025, it's time to, the Section 230 Communications Decency Act, protecting big tech. Why are they feeding our kids? They're making money off the backs of our children, off of our families. So there's so many issues here to talk about, but the bottom line is people must open their eyes and ears, realize this is going on. Everybody knows somebody affected, whether you admit it or not, and we must get a handle and not let these predators and criminals, monsters, win and take in our children. Remember, it ruins their lives for the rest of their lives. I'm really in fear of what's going to happen to kids. We'll start seeing things in 5-10 years down the line when they're supposed to be adults. So there's just so many issues to talk about with this.
Um, Remember the other day we were eating at one of our favorite little Jersey diners. It was a very nice family. I think they looked Mexican, but they were just so terrific. They were eating and they're bringing their food. I think it was brothers and sisters, maybe a father. And there was a little baby on the mother's lap. And I said, isn't that wonderful? They didn't put the baby in a high chair. She wanted to hold the baby.
Yes.
But then what does she do? She hands the baby a phone. The kids. So I thought, close, but the mother wasn't trying to do the wrong thing. She wanted to eat. She wanted to enjoy. The baby had a good time. It was a very small child. But that's what you were talking about. It's become the pacifier. It's become the binky, the
babysitting tool.
Yeah.
And when we know kids are spending, an average of 5 hours a day online, there is something wrong with that. Now, look, I'm kind of judging a little bit. I used to say, well, I'm not judging parents. Parents have to really step up. I know everybody's busy. I know it's easier to sit your child in front of a cartoon or hand them an iPad. And by the way, if that child was a year old, that child was about a year old. Now, that being said, that might have been the 20 minutes that child watches something a day. I don't know these circumstances, but so the mother could eat, because they were passing the child back and forth. I assume those were the grandparents with the child. He was very well behaved. He was smiling the whole time, the child.
Mm-hmm.
But, that is already beginning to get them used to, you get a device. That is, like you said, the pacifier. We have to break those chains. It is not okay. And I bet you if I had gone up to them, questioned them or something, they would never even know when I say wherever the kids are, so are the predators. Because we've had so many examples of kids on these cartoons that seem innocent, or videos that are supposed to be educational, where they're hacked into, and the mother walks away for a second, mother comes back, and then there's some kind of pornography. And we have to discuss pornography as well with kids, because they are seeing so much they shouldn't be seeing. Their little brains can't absorb. Parents have to get on top of this, caregivers. Every American has to stand up and say, we're not tolerating this. We're not having our children, preyed upon like this. So getting back to your original question of why, I don't know, because I thought everybody like me would want to constantly say, no way, we're going to be warriors. No way, we're going to march in Times Square. No way. And you know what? The good news is a lot of people are waking up and beginning to realize and see this. But on the other hand, it's almost like slapping the Band-Aid on after the fact, as opposed to, we got to start from the beginning with the education and get in there, because you know what? It's also, it's not really up to the government. I'm going to say that, everybody. By the time there's so much red tape with the government, which they do bear responsibility. Big tech does bear responsibility. But by the time we get all that, as history has proven, your child has been exposed to something or has been approached online. We know 1 out of 5 kids, was the last study, are definitely approached online. And of those 1 in 5, 40% attempt to actually meet that person. And that study was from like 18 months ago. So we have to bear the responsibility of all of this, unfortunately, right now.
Here's something I want to throw out as well. Recently, it works both ways because I'm so, I think, sensitive to this because of you. Recently, we've had friends, and I'm sure you've had friends. They have a brand new baby. So what do? Well, you want to send a picture of the baby, maybe a text to friends. How many times do you think people go online? I've seen people, big names, big commentators, people who've made enemies. You can't do this without incurring a lot of enemies. Going out and saying, here's a picture of my wife, maybe breastfeeding a baby, and you're saying, great, you just told us something that you love that now we can get. I'll go another step further. When people put pictures of their babies online announcing so and so, I can find out where they live. And you know what I can get for a baby? And we're not talking kidnapping with ransom. Now, when I bring this up, people think I'm out of my mind. They're thinking, you can't deny me the ability to go on Facebook and put this picture of this beautiful, innocent baby that you are basically showing, guess what I've got? Here's something you can steal. And you know where I live. And when I tell people that, they look at me like you're a grouch, a Scrooge, because this is my chance to promote my child as a. In the old days, it was here. Did you see pictures of my kids? And here's a cigar. And those, it's different. I can't even explain that. I would never, ever. Let me tell you something. If we right now had a baby, first of all, call medical schools because and
What
put
are
a
you implying?
well, remember the old days. But I would never say anything. I don't say anything now. I don't
Yeah,
I don't know
we're
I
very
don't know
private.
why I don't know why people we never it's no it is you and I elect to do this. This is our business. That's fine. But for me to show a picture of a little baby, and there are people, cartel members and others who say, I want that one. And you know how easy it is just to some TDA? I know it sounds crazy. I know people think I'm out of my
No,
mind.
no, but you have to stop saying people think you're out of. I mean, people have.
Oh, they do for
Well,
other reasons.
they do, and a lot of people think I'm out of my mind. I really don't
Mm,
care. I want to
well,
listen, husband. I want to remind people, I've never been trafficked. I've never been exploited. And I feel so lucky at my age. This business, when I found out what is going on in the United States, in our own backyards, in our own communities, and how prevalent it is, I had to become a warrior. And so I wonder if that happened to me, like I had to do something. I had to stand up to it. I had to build upon this. And I built it with very little knowledge when I started and very little uh anything. I just went out and started it. I don't know why other people can't do a little bit of something. I'm not saying they have to go out and form a nonprofit and march on Washington like we do and deal with Congress and all of that. But I'm saying everybody in 2025, it's a new year. You have to make the commitment to protect children. You may not have children. You may have grandchildren. You may have a neighbor. You may have a cousin, something. Everybody knows somebody with a child. We have to come together because I see, despite all this escalating talk and this and that, there's really, I'm just going to say this. I'm the ultimate cheerleader, but I see really no protection for our children right now. We just had the Kids Online Safety Act knocked down. And I have to say, that was a very watered down nothing. It was stealing nobody's privacy. It's not trying to do anything, but it just simply said big tech, parents, kids can't bear all the responsibility to stay safe. If you have some dangerous content, it's up to you. Do not distribute it. That's what it was watered down to. But let me just throw this in. And recently, President Trump announced I got to deal with TikTok because everybody jumped on TikTok, and I would say constantly, which was not very popular. If you're going to jump on TikTok, you better jump on every single other platform and attack them because all of these platforms are responsible. And of course, we heard China owned by ByteDance, da 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 da. Every one of these platforms, you can't just get rid of a TikTok. But President Trump said, I'm going to deal with that because TikTok really, I got to look at it because it really helped me get elected. A lot of
yep.
young people, it's one of the top sites, with YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or Insta as the kids call it. Those are the sites the kids are on. And he said, I got to look at this. So it's not good enough to say we're going to get rid of something. We're going to ban something. Banning does not work. And that's why I'm not popular in a lot of circles. No, it's not about banning. It's
Well,
about finding
right.
ways to make it work. New
Well, I've
ideas.
also, you know my thoughts on hate crimes. That doesn't get me friends either. Let me give you another example of one. This is the best. This is the best example. You will be called, first of all, you and I, but you, we do not do intervention. We don't break down doors. We don't accompany law enforcement trying to seize and capture children. You don't want to do anything to muddy the works and by virtue of some overzealous participant, give some predator, some trafficker, a legal way out and a legal defense because you decided you were going to be Rambo and you were going to act in a way that is unconstitutional, even though you're not the police, but when you're working in concert with them, then you have to share a lot of the responsibilities. But here's the point. We get this. It's happened so many times. My daughter was missing, or my daughter was hurt or harmed. She met a 50-year-old man online, and I didn't know this. She left in the middle of the night, and we finally got her back. And I'm shocked, and the parents feel guilty. It happens every day, and it's because of not devices, not TikTok, but because of a child who was not either aware of what was going on. If you told a kid very specifically, you know you're going to have an old man try to pick you up, right? What? You know you're going to have somebody lure you out of the home, tell you that we don't love you, offer you this. You know this is going to happen, right? I'll bet you parents have never even said that. I'll
No,
bet you they never, kids don't even, because when a kid says, you know, that's exactly what mom and dad said. This guy, I can tell you, and it's something personal. They'll go to the next person. So anyway, so instead of us talking about TikTok, which is important, or others, parents have to sit down and immunize and vaccinate their children by saying, "Let me tell you what's going to happen." Telling little boys and girls, if they ask you to show you a picture of yourself nude, they're going to do this, and then they're going to turn it against you, and then they're going to embarrass you or make you think that they're. We don't talk about that. But what we do is we have these organizations, Operation whatever, and these retired Navy SEALs and Delta Force, these Rambos who it's BS. Never happens. Do something even simpler. Call your daughter or son in, sit down, mom and dad, and say, I'm going to tell you the reality. Don't point fingers at them and say, let me tell you what they're doing. That's all. That would be the biggest dent.
that is
If
the step number one. I'm always saying talk openly and honestly, age appropriately with your children. I think the most shocking thing people have to realize is we think the mindset out there is, this is teenagers, right?
right,
Traditionally we've always said, okay, the average age a girl gets trafficked. There are boys that get trafficked too, but it's mostly girls, okay? Is 12 to 14. And then the ages move to like 11 to 14. But we have so many cases that nobody hears about. The kids are getting younger and younger and younger. And again, parents are buying these devices for their children. So there's parental autonomy. We can't tell anybody. We can urge you the way to do all of this is to delay. Delay is the way, is a hashtag we use. A child certainly doesn't need devices until they're in eighth grade. There's plenty of devices, a phone just to have texting with parents, friends, no internet capabilities, and they can call so they don't feel left out, right? But I'm not understanding the real disconnect of all of this. It's actually very simple. It has to start in your home because parents are buying the devices, most likely for the kids. You've got to know when I have these stories that an 11-year-old has 7 different Instagram accounts. And remember, the older kids are even getting, just follow along with this, 12 and ups, they're getting savvy to there are these predators. So now the predators are going to the younger ones who don't have that kind of savviness, the 7, 8, 9 year olds who they think when somebody tells them they're beautiful, they're going to be a knockout when they get a little older. And And our kids, now this is a whole nother program, are so vulnerable and so craving attention right now. They're turning to strangers
Yep.
to get all of this attention. And when I tell you 40% of them are going out in, and that was 18 months ago, this study, so we know it's higher by now, uh, going out to meet a stranger. I can't keep up with the amount of children missing every day, just gone.
Do you know what I'm surprised? Little off subject. Do you remember years ago, you would hear about these women who, this was terrible, who would go and try to lure people's husbands and boyfriends away. They'd be in a bar, find out where they would be, and then they would report. They would say, "Yes, he gave me the number," and I thought that
Yes.
was it was almost entrapment, sort of. But I wouldn't necessarily be against somebody who said, "Let me see if I can get your child to contact, or let me see if I can get through." And I mean, nothing untoward, no exchange of pictures, but just sit there. And what do you think about this? If you walked in and said, "Little Michaela, little Morgan, come here, I want to show you something." Is this you? Yeah, got ya. I told you. This could have been, this is the man you met. He's a police officer friend of ours. He could be a killer. Do you understand what you just did? I know it sounds crazy, but do you think if a
It's
parent,
not crazy.
if a kid said, "Oh my God, let me show you something. These
Yes.
are people, these are kids. They understand when kids are missing and they're to I don't think I because
No,
remember, they're innocent.
especially when I just told you younger and younger, an 8, 9, 10 year old does not have that, they really can't critically analyze. I mean, a 14, 15, 16, that's even, they can't critically, but they're a little bit better equipped. And so I'm not understanding right now. First of all, kids are visual, right? Every school, if I was running this division in the government, every school would have, role playing, acting. We would have, the police officer or policewoman come in and, again, age appropriate, right? Deal with all of this and get them used to. And I know there are some people doing this work, but here's the other part of all of this. I've been doing a lot of research, and people might go in and do a little training in a high school, a middle school, and that's great. And then it's forgotten about. This is a subject matter that must be dealt with continually, nonstop, because you know what? These predators, these criminals are always 10 steps ahead. So if one thing becomes, known or dealt with, they're on to the next biggest thing. And the downfall that is just sitting there that will be unleashed very shortly is going to be a full on attack with this AI, right? It is
Oh,
going to, getting back to the pictures, we have always preached, please don't put your children online. I
yes.
know everybody's proud of them, first grade, graduation, look what my daughter, look what my son did. It is the worst thing. And so many people who agreed with me working in this field, I'll say, the next day I'd go on and see them. Here's my daughter, a cheerleader. Here's my son winning the soccer. And I'm like, you just told me, in an interview, no children. So I don't understand.
Right.
Is it that
We
fear of missing out that they got to live vicariously? Like, my kid is so great. Why can't people show some self control with all of this?
we've had people in the media go on with you and rail against parents who put pictures of their children online and put pictures of their kids the next day. We've known people who put pictures of their kids bathing
I don't.
in
I
like the
don't even.
tub on the toy potty training. I'm thinking, do I have to spell this? But Facebook, those are
Yeah.
just, listen to this, those are just friends. I'm thinking,
Well, people really don't
they
understand
don't get it.
still. They don't know, but they don't understand everything can be hacked and is hacked. I'm sure every account all of us has, is sitting somewhere filed away, whether it's China, whether it's another, Africa now is the hotspot. We know all of these, oh my goodness, servers. They're not in this country for all of this CSAM, child sexual abuse material. They're over, in Africa, in all those other places, which is why it is hard to get to, even though we have international law enforcement working together. But again, it would be so easy to just start, you know, talking to your kids. You must. You have a duty of care. That's what I call it with these devices.
As an aside, just as an aside, and we always, I know people when they see us, maybe you more than me, but they'll say, "Oh God, here they come, the lecture twins. What are we doing
Well, that would be
wrong now?"
Washington. When they see me in Washington, they're
Yes,
like,
yes.
they're like leaving the room, but that's okay.
This is the best one the other day, and I don't even know how to say this. I don't know how to say this to anybody. A friend of mine said, "Hey, you know what? We did this 1, 2, 3 and Me or DNA or whatever it's called, and guess what? I thought I was, let's say, Italian or Irish or German. Turns out I'm not. There's not an ounce of Italian blood in me." And I want to say, schmuck, you just gave your genotype, your genome, your genetic code to a company, and it's now theirs. And do you understand? Now, and they'll look at me and they'll get some graft. I think somebody says, Norwegian, throw it in. How do I explain? I can't even explain that. I can't explain children, their own DNA, why they're doing things. I don't, I don't understand. I just don't, I don't
Well,
grasp it. I don't know.
I do want to say, first of all, I want to say something shamelessly that we have one like. That can't be possible on my Warriors video that I'm
What?
doing here with you. I need likes. I want everybody to understand something. Although these are tough subjects and it's not fun and all that, these are necessary subjects. I want everybody to understand I will be in Washington. I don't care if I'm marching down that Pennsylvania Avenue by myself with my vision and what works. The last time I was in Washington recently, I simply said, with all due respect, at a round table, nothing works, everybody. Nothing works. We need new. We need visionary. We need collaboration. And we need resources. And these resources must trickle down into this prevention. And also, again, I want to remind everybody about the survivors. I hear survivor after survivor tell me, okay, that they give me a little bit, but they can't help me, or the programs aren't there. And these are, I see organizations taking in millions upon millions of dollars, and I'll be like, well, what do you mean you can't be helped? This has to be dealt with. And if people can't do the work, they should get out. Let me just acknowledge our good friend George Lenz. Thank you, George, so much. You have been a warrior. You have been with us from the beginning. George says, come on, folks, this is a good cause. Thank you, George. And we'll be seeing you soon, I hope, at the Lionel Show. I'm going to throw that in on February 22nd here in New York City at the Cutting Room, because we're going to have a real jamboree. I date myself, everybody, saying jamboree. But,
a hullabaloo.
A hullabaloo, a dance party, whatever. We do have in 2025, we dodged that bullet. I'm going to leave it at that. There is incredible hope on the horizon. But we can't think, okay, we're here. It's done. It's going to be fixed. That border, and I am the biggest supporter of Tom Homan. I know Tom Homan. I've given a speech alongside Tom Homan. I have full confidence. I wouldn't want to stand in that guy's way. And all of the Border Patrol and agents and everybody working with him and under him, that he has lifted their morale, because the way, remember, they work for each administration. They're not, with the party. It's each administration. I mean, Tom Homan worked under Obama. He works under all, everybody, the Border Patrol works under the administration. Their hands have been tied. How they can stay in these jobs. I mean, a lot of them didn't and haven't, but it's going to be an incredible, hard work to start with rooting out, which will start with the criminals, the Trendy Aragua, to get them out of this country. There's a full press. Nobody really covered it in the last few days. They've been Trendy Aragua. They've been piling into our country since Trump's be taking office officially in a couple of weeks. Although I feel like he's president since November 6th, but that's another story. But I mean, people have to know these issues because they think we're in New York City, maybe, and they are infiltrating the smaller communities where they're not going to be noticed as much. And a reminder, they are in all 50 states, these criminals, these illegal aliens. Their main business is the trafficking of women and girls and drugs, and they are paying our American kids. This is another thing we have to educate the kids about. These are bad dudes, to use some of your language, okay, and dudettes, because there
Mhm.
are some women involved that are monsters. I think they're worse than the men, okay, in this trendy Aragua
Because they
gang,
lure the
okay.
girls, the
They
big
lure the
sisters.
girls. I know, but they are violent and vicious, and they have no feelings at all, okay. But they are getting our American kids by paying them a few dollars or supplying them with drugs. This is another program about the drugs. They are paying them to deal their dirty drugs. You know, the one pill kills with fentanyl. These are chemicals that chemicals are coming over the border through our waters being delivered, and then they get to this side, our country, and they're being pressed into these pills that are selling for $1, you know, on Snapchat. Like, these are things people have to know about. But Trendy Aragua, why this is so important? They are in all 50 states. They are working our middle and high schools, our American kids. So again, it's another attack on our American children. Why? Why do people allow this? Is this allowed? Our precious kids. I can't figure that out. And when I sit in Washington, or I've been up to Albany, I am met with blank stares. We are the constituents. These people work for us. We pay taxes. I can't figure this out, but I'm going to continue on this mission in 2025 because I really believe the way I'm thinking, the way I'm implementing things, the way I plan on doing things with the new administration, we are going to see a difference. But we need all of you on some level to join us and be there, at least with your child or grandchild. It is so urgent that you follow along.
Oh, listen, I can't agree more.
I
And
thought for a
by
minute
the
maybe I put you to sleep there. I just want
no, no,
Edie
no.
Crowley, one of our biggest warriors. Please hit the like for Mrs. L. Thank you, Edie. Thank you for your contribution to that. No, but really, it sounds very simplistic, and I'm a broken record. I don't know what people are waiting for. I
Well,
really don't.
I'm very scared about the level of law enforcement because we always say, you know, they're for the most part. I think for the most part they're good people. I'm just imagining this. In New York City, we've had virtually everybody in the upper levels removed, thankfully by Commissioner Tish, who's doing a hell of a job.
Oh yeah, can we shout out to
I
her? Let me tell you something.
oh
I don't mean to interrupt you, but our new police commissioner, NYPD, Jessica Tish. Okay, I didn't really say much because I want to see what's going on.
She was very unimpressive at first. I thought she
I don't
was
know,
in charge of.
unimpressive. Maybe she's the quiet but deadly type.
She
This is
was
what
in
I'm thinking.
charge of
Let me tell you something.
sanitation.
Okay,
Anyway,
I don't care. I don't care.
no,
If your
this is what
heart's
we.
in,
Right,
no,
right.
I didn't really think much of her because I just thought she looks like a deer caught in the headlights. Let's be honest here. Let's be realistic. How are men who've been in NYPD for years going to deal with a woman? Seriously, we got to talk about these issues. She has rooted out, she has thrown out, she is stepping up, she is cleaning out. We need to have a great big shout out to her right now. And here's what I find very offensive. All of these New York coalitions I'm involved with, which again are supposed to be bipartisan, women's rights, girls' rights, and all that. I haven't seen one shout out for Jessica Tish doing a fantastic job, who's getting rid of these men who have exploited women on the police force. Force them in. You think organizations would come together and put out a statement, or I'm the only one doing
What
it,
about
like
Me Too? Whatever
to
happened to
support.
that?
No, no, but I'm just saying, like, why aren't they supporting this woman? Why? Because you know
But
what? I know why in my own mind, but it's a woman. It's a woman that is helping women,
But there were also
rooting out. Yeah.
women who were claiming that their careers were being held hostage by this
Yes.
one oath they received.
But
And
that's what I'm
by
talking about.
and
People
by
should
the
be in
by,
these organizations
right.
supporting and saying, you got rid of him. He was exploiting women. He was threatening women. Women need their jobs. Women need their money. A lot of these women were single moms, and they had to perform horrible things to keep their jobs. Horrible. Why aren't women in New York supporting this?
I know you don't want to do this, but I'm gonna and not to plug, but later on tonight at 7, I'm gonna talk about did you see the press conference in New Orleans? The superintendent, the mayor, and the assistant special agent in charge of the FBI. Oh my God. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to impugn you, but
I don't know.
tune into,
I woke up to that. You'll cover that tonight. It's that'll be
yes.
7 p.m. Lionel Nation on YouTube. And a shout out to Gracie Loves George, Commissioner Tish. Great, she's stepping up and doing a wonderful
Yep.
job. Kudos to her. Somebody I always believed, and I've always told you this. Once somebody starts something, I believe and getting a few other people on board, it can snowball into a bigger movement. I believe that the warriors, the thinking, it is the time now, what we do and how we think, which is so different, to protect kids, to educate families, to help in the education system, to help the survivors. Because remember, I can't do my job. I've never been trafficked. I haven't been exploited. I need their voices, their lived experiences, them to tell me what needs to be done, right? What needs to happen? How can we avoid these pitfalls, right? So that's why we need these full collaborative efforts. And I will say a great big shout out to the Brooklyn DA's office, who I like to talk about, a big wheel with a lot of spokes. They are doing really incredible work between the advocacy, the education, supporting survivors, getting into community centers, getting into more schools, and working on all this. They have a really good model. They have that wheel with all the spokes. And I also want to shout out the DEA, because they also have a new model. Frank Tarantino runs it here in New York. Uh, Getting in there with the families, getting in there with the schools, getting in there as partnerships. And that's what we're talking about at the Warriors. We need partnerships. So I leave everybody with, it's 2025, day one. We're going to make the commitment. We're all going to and must do something. There's a lot of hope, a lot of great things happening. And also thanking all of you for listening and for joining along and donating and volunteering. We have a lot of work to do, and we can do it, but we have to do it together. But I am very enthusiastic for this year and the new administration, and also for the Warriors and all the initiatives that we have that we'll be unveiling.
Absolutely. Could not have said it better myself.
Now, would you like to finish up with some final thoughts on this
No,
New Year's Day?
no, nothing really. Just to commend you, just
You
to
don't have
remind
final
you,
thoughts. There's Lori Lewis, another
Lori
great
Lewis,
warrior. She's been with us,
double
super
L.
sticker from the beginning. Thank you, Lori, very much for that. Really, there's a
Well,
lot of hope. I want to give people a lot of hope too, because it's another thing. I was talking to a psychoanalyst the other day for the program for Lynn's Warriors,
you don't
because
have to tell people about your problems. You have to.
there's a
Yeah.
guest, please,
You
everybody. Edie Nathan, go find it on the channel,
right.
because
Okay.
we know during I'm very sensitive to in tune with people's feelings, right? And I don't know why, but I am. And so many people during the holidays, it's a wonderful time and we're happy and this and that. And I really think the holidays are for children overall and all that.
Hmm.
But I always think about, what if you're a trafficked teen? Or what if you're stuck in one of those horrible foster homes? What if you're in an abusive home? What if you're an adult and you have nobody around you? You're like, how are we going? So I wanted to talk to Edie Nathan about, how do we deal with that? Like, what should we do? We have to respect people's privacy, the adults, right? But like, we all need to check on somebody appropriately, or offer them a cup of coffee, or, can I do an errand for you if they don't drive? And so getting into that, I'm very concerned with the feelings. I don't know where I started on this. I just lost track of actually what I was telling you. But I think
Which is
people
another
have,
thing we want to talk to you about. It's your
I got a lot on my mind, and I
yes,
can't wait to get to that Washington soon.
right.
But here's the thing: we have to all always put ourselves in other people's shoes a little bit, right? I'm not asking you to give up your life, but just be mindful. And if it's something is as small as holding a door for somebody, that used to be common. People held doors for each other, or, oh, you go first, or, I did notice this year a lot of Merry Christmases people were saying in New York City to each other.
Hmm.
And I also noticed a lot of people over the last 2 days actually saying Happy New Year to each other. It felt like old New York to me. So we need to
Yes.
continue this momentum, but we need to show the kids, right? Because they're watching. Even the teenagers the parents tell me they're impossible, they don't listen, they think they know everything. Well, so did we when we were teenagers. Have patience, bite your bottom lip, do something, walk out of the room if they're fresh. I'm very serious about that. They want our attention, they need our attention, and talk to them. It's not us versus them. We have to form these partnerships. So I leave everybody with, there's a lot of hope. It's going to be a great new year. It's going to be tough. I don't want to candy sugarcoat this. What do
But
you
it's
think about
always
that,
tough.
Lionel?
Listen, it's always going to be tough. And look. This is great. Remember, all we fought for last year. We're here. We're starting off. Just do it one step at a time. Take it easy, relax, be grateful, just enjoy it. And I want everybody to be serious, but also to lighten up. I don't want to hear one more person say, I have anxiety. You think you've got anxiety? There are a lot of people who are fighting life-threatening diseases. Put your own particular your thing into perspective. That's all. And thank you for everything that you do, because I can tell you, you are doing this 24 hours a day. That's it. That is it. It is and there's no way to be committed to this unless you have 100% of your passion directed accordingly. There's no way you can take on this half-heartedly. And I'm going to say this, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of dames out there who think, you know what I'm going to do? I think instead of trying to join the African Violence Society, I'm going to be, I'm going to go after, involve myself in children and trafficking. And the number of people who not only take your slogans and steal, I mean, to the point where would you at least acknowledge you're stealing it? But that's okay. If you've inspired people, what are you going to do? But you're the real deal. You're not doing this just for fun.
Thank
It
you. Thank you, my
kills
husband.
you.
I am the
It
real deal. That
kills
I'll
you.
admit about myself. And I'm very humble about it. I don't post a lot of pictures. I don't post a lot of stories about very personal things with people, vulnerable kids. You'll never see kids. Sometimes I might have a
No.
picture of like their waist down, because the greatest joy is being boots on the ground in a community where they welcome me. And you've been there alongside me, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where you give that child a book, you give that child a toy, you give a mom. I'll never forget the face of a mom who got two little ski jackets from us for her little girls, a very young mom. And she said, I can have two. I said, well, you have two children, so you're going to get two. And I said, not only
And it was so
and
funny.
to see those faces, no, but just to say, and then say, I've got hats and gloves too. Let's match them up. I can have a
But
hat and gloves
they
too.
always talk about. I'm sorry. They always talk about poor people. They always take their welfare, this and that. You know how many times we had to tell one, no, take it for free. No, take it. What do I owe you? Take it. It's yours.
Because they couldn't
Why?
believe
They
we
couldn't
couldn't
believe it.
believe what we were doing. And that is the goal. Okay. And you know what? We did an incredible job. Thank you to a lot of warriors out there who provided us with goods and services and all of those donations to make all of those community things happen. But you know what? That gives me the joy. You have to have passion. Passion is lacking for the most part in working with all of this. And you have to really, when I got these emails, well, survivor services, we're going to be closed for 2 weeks over.
I know that.
You can't close over the holidays with
I
this.
was going to say, I'm not going to mention it, but if I told you some of the names of the biggest Christmas organizations that you would think would be what? People synonymous with children and Christmas, and others who say, we haven't heard from the people, don't answer emails, people don't follow up, there's administrative screw ups. That floored me. I'm going to leave it at that. Maybe this year was a glitch.
No,
Okay.
leave it at that. But I do want to say,
I just said I'm going to leave it at that.
I do want to say, I want to remind everybody, there is a lot of hope. There is a lot of goodwill out there. There are a lot of fantastic warriors. You will never hear their names. You will never know their names. They don't seek any glory. Look at me's, none of that. And I thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. And also I want to thank my husband, Lionel, who I could not do any of this without his help, his support. Why, after all, I couldn't even get the video going when we started this. But anyway, he fixed it for me. He's also my producer. He wears many hats around here. I want each of you, you don't have to, I see your mouth open. Let me just finish this before I forget. You don't have to go to this extent of what we're talking about, but you do have to make that commitment in 2025 to do a little something and honor our hashtag community creates change. And you must be a warrior. And if that's just in your home, that is good enough. We need each and every one of you. So what were you going to say? Because your mouth was open a second ago.
I was just going to say this has nothing to do with this, but last night you made a plant-based lasagna.
Oh, you love that. I'm going to make another one because
That
I loved it so much.
was I can
I'm
if
making
you
another
ate
one.
that, you think this is meat, this is real ricotta. Nothing. All plant-based. I almost wept. I
You
wept.
you
It
did.
was
You
so
were
beautiful.
so
It was so
happy.
beautiful.
That's why I'm making another one. I want to
Good.
repeat the lasagna, but I also want to say thank you for all you do at Lionel Nation on YouTube. I want to remind everybody that is 9 a.m. Eastern every morning and then 7 p.m. Eastern every night, for really sticking to your guns, for really being realistic, bringing reality, right? Because people really do have those rose colored glasses. We have to be realistic, even if it hurts sometimes. And being realistic means figuring out a better way to do it or a better way to look at it. So we can't always just have it's this way or that way. There's a lot of things going on. And again, at the Warriors and what we'll be doing in Washington, bringing new ideas, new ways to fix, address, talk to people, take actions, and collaborate. So I want to thank you again also on Lionel Media, because you do have one of the best, I'm sorry, X accounts. I just enjoy a lot of those
Oh yeah.
tweets you do. And I adore you. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And you know what? Don't forget, linswarriors.org. Always, you can write to me, lynn@linswarriors.org. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're following Lionel, also lionelmedia.com. And thank you. It is January 1st, 2025. Let's make it a great year. I know we can do it. We're going to do it. Community creates change. Go out and be a warrior. Thanks, Lionel.
Thank you, darling.